Hi there, this is a short video I'm making about this mandolin. This is an Il Globo bowback mandolin. So this is the first Il Globo I've had, but I did get a chance to play another from this make that somebody else owned, and I sort of quite like the sound of that one, so I got this one. So it's a fairly typical mass-produced Neapolitan mandolin. I guess if I do the bad points first, and then I'll tell you what I like about it. Typical vintage tuners, which are stiff and cranky. They work perfectly well, but are not up to modern standards. But you can certainly get them in tune. Typical construction for these instruments means that there is hardly any room for a bridge. So I've had to cut the bridge very, very low. I don't know if you can see that, in order to get a decent playing action, but nonetheless it does have a decent playing action now, so that's okay. And they also used some kind of funky bits of wood actually when they made this, so you can see around the skirt on the back here, if I hold that up to you. Now it looks, oops, let's get in the right place. It looks at first glance that some of these inset a different kind of wood here, but that's not the case. You can see how the rosewood changes colour. It goes from dark to light, and then this section up here where it's very pale is the sapwood, and there's a bit more on the side there as well. So I mean, this is purely cosmetic. It doesn't affect the strength or the sound quality of the wood at all. It just means that that bit of wood hasn't acquired the coloration that it will do when it dies and gets older yet. So normally a lot of builders would cut that out and not use it, or they would use it, you know, as a feature. Obviously on this one they were kind of just knocking them out, and they just used whatever bit of rosewood came to hand and just stuck it all in there, you know. So so that's the bad points. The good point is both the other one that I got to play briefly before and this one are pretty solidly made and very nice sounding. So I have touched up the finish on the back, so it's looking nice now. But there were no splits anywhere, neither in the back or on the top, while the braces are sound. It's a perfectly solid instrument, which is not bad, you know, after whatever it is, 100 years, maybe 120 years old it could be. And they do sound quite nice, these Il Globos. And it's got that typical bowback sustain and sound, you know, so. And it just goes on ringing and ringing and ringing forever. So let's see if I can finish off by playing a couple of tunes, just to show you what it sounds like, and then you can make up your own mind. So I should just mention strings. I'm always going on about strings, but they do make instruments sound very different depending on what kind of strings you put on. These are Newtone nickel wound strings. Nickel wound strings are normally used on electric instruments, but they are kind of similar to the sorts of strings that would have been on these instruments originally. I guess phosphophonics wouldn't have been around back in the day. And they sound very nice. Yeah, let's go. And what I'm trying to show in my figure of eight is you can actually play this thing all the way up and down the neck now. Obviously, the fretwork on these after 100 or so years is pretty awful. So the fretboard has been levelled off and refretted using the original bar fret wire. There's a couple of new frets in down the far end. A couple of frets missing when I got him. But so you can oops, you can play him way up there if you wish to. You don't get much sound, I have to say. So there we go. One Il Globo bowback mandolin.